When I was very young, my grandfather would tell me stories of dragons, dungeons, mystical journeys across oceans, ghosts of our ancestors, and family curses. His stories were fascinating, magical, and mysterious, but as I got older, these stories began leaving the realm of fantasy. What you're about to listen to is a true story he told me 15 years ago, and it is a story that has stuck with me ever since. This story takes place in Colombia during the 1980s. The country tops the rankings as the world's most violent country. Robberies, extortions, shootings, massacres, car bombings, kidnappings, disappearances, all fueled by not one but several conflicts. The government deals with corruption while simultaneously fighting the guerrilla, and on top of that, the two largest cocaine competitors are at war. The Cali cartel and Pablo Escobar from the city of Medellin. The story begins with Ignacio, a humble man raising a family of 13 children. They managed just to get by with what little they could make by selling pastries out of their own home. They worked hard and the family lived from paycheck to paycheck. This went on for several years, and as time passed, the oldest of the family, Oscar, wasn't a kid anymore. One Sunday, while walking out of church, Oscar was approached by two men who asked him if he was interested in working for the great drug lord Pablo Escobar. Oscar was hesitant, but his ambition for cash, cars, mansions, and women was way more powerful than his will, so he agreed to work for the king of cocaine. He packed his bags and moved to the capital of Colombia, Bogotá. Very quickly, he moved up the ladder of command in the drug business, while simultaneously making sure that his family was taken care of in every way possible. The family was worried, but they refrained from asking questions as their hardships began turning into a thing of the past. But everyone was unaware of the criminals who wanted the family's blood, the Cali cartel. 2 years had gone by. It was Oscar's birthday, and Ignacio, the father of the family, decided to give his son a surprise visit. After a 10-hour drive, Ignacio arrived to Oscar's mansion. The son received his father with open arms, and they both went out for dinner. But neither Ignacio or Oscar would return home again. Hours turned to days, and days turned into weeks. The family did everything in their hands to locate the missing father and brother, but they were nowhere to be found. 2 months later, police knocked the door. The cops asked to speak with the oldest in the household and told him about how a body had been found at the bottom of an abyss and they needed help in identifying the corpse. It was the body of Ignacio, the father of the family. He had been visibly tortured, he had missing fingers and toes, he had burns throughout his body, broken teeth, and in an ultimate attempt at disgracing his body, his throat had been sliced open and his tongue was stuck out through the gash in what is now most commonly known as the Colombian necktie. Everyone assumed Oscar to also be dead, but the police was unable to find his body. This was until 4 months later, there was a frantic knock at the door. As the eldest son ran to open the door, he was surprised to see Oscar standing in front of him. He was beaten, looked dirty, and was sobbing hysterically. The family rushed to Oscar, they took care of him, and once he was stable, everybody began asking questions. Oscar managed to escape from the rival drug cartel who had kidnapped both him and his father. Oscar was tied down and forced to watch the torture and murder of Ignacio. He was kept in a dark cell for months, but had managed to escape by pure luck when his captors forgot to lock his shackles. It was here when he sprinted out of his cell and into the jungle and never looked back. Oscar would spend the next several weeks at his family's home, but every single night he would wake up screaming that Ignacio was haunting his dreams. The family could tell that Oscar was extremely disturbed by the horrifying events he had to witness. But not only that, he also carried the burden of being the reason his father was no longer alive. Almost 7 months after their initial disappearance, Oscar could no longer handle the visions and hallucinations of his father. He bought a pistol and shot himself in the head. I was used to my grandpa's stories, but never had I seen him crying while sharing a story with me. I asked him why he was so emotional, and I would have never guessed what he was about to say next. he replied in a soft and broken tone that Oscar was his brother and Ignacio was his father. As hard as this must have been for my grandpa and his family, he told me that it helped the rest of the kids grow up to be exemplary people, far from what their brother had been. This story has no happy ending. It was a tragedy that directly affected my grandfather's family.